Hi, everyone. I am Becky Nova of Live Free with Becky Nova. I am finally getting around to an overdue video that I promised I would make for some of our members in Lady Landlords. If you've not been over to the group, go check out Lady Landlords on Facebook, or you could subscribe to this channel here to learn more. But today we had a lot of questions about how to use other people's money in real estate investing. Now, what this deals with is the idea that a lot of people, when you start off in real estate investing, it seems to take a lot of money, right? That's usually the biggest concern people have is, how am I going to save for a down payment? I have debt. This is wiping out my savings, those types of things. So there are a bunch of creative ways that you can actually get involved in real estate investing by using other people's money. So I have a list that I made for you guys that I wanted to talk about. First way, and a very popular way, is to find an equity partner. This is also known as using private money. That is where you either find family members that have extra money or friends that want to be able to invest, but they usually are not people that want to be involved. But maybe you have an older uncle that has money, doesn't have kids, has his retirement already saved for, and kind of is looking for another thing to get involved in. A lot of times people will invest that money with you, and then you end up doing what's called sweat equity, which is doing all the work on the ground. So that might be an option of how that could work. If you're like me, that does not have wealthy relatives or really that many wealthy friends for that matter, another way to go about that is through networking. When you can find networking events throughout your local town, maybe not so much right now. For those of you watching, I'm in New York. We are still with stay-at-home orders due to COVID, but there are tons of ways that you can network by joining different professional groups, by finding meetups. There are a lot that are happening on Zoom these days, and that would be a way that you can also network for people and see if you can find somebody that would really like to be that equity investor, that's silent investor. That is definitely something you want to make sure to use a lawyer for, to make sure that you have your partnerships in place so everybody understands what their role is and what happens if someone does not fulfill their side. So definitely talk to your lawyer about that. Another option that's very popular for using other people's money is seller financing. Now, seller's financing is when a person that already owns a property, usually an older person, they're kind of tired, they don't really want to be a landlord anymore, they just kind of want to get rid of their property and don't want to deal with it, they're willing to hold that mortgage still. And what ends up happening is you end up paying that person back. So the trick with that is you want to find a property that would, one, the owner is okay with seller financing and accepts that. And two, then you want to find a place that is going to have enough cash flow from the rental properties coming in that then is going to cover that. For example, let's say in seller financing, you find a multifamily and you have 2 units in that, and you get $1,000 from each of those in rent. So that's $2,000 a month. It would be fantastic if your seller financing agreement, because with seller financing, you come up with the terms, not the bank, like you normally would with a conventional loan or an FHA loan. Here you could make your terms up with the seller. If you're making that $2,000 a month, maybe that from your rents, maybe you then want to agree that your payment every month to the seller would be $1,500 a month. Now you're clearly gonna have to calculate that out with what your interest rate is, and over those years, it clearly has to be attractive to the seller as well. But then that way you really don't have money coming out of pocket, assuming that you still have those tenants in there. That extra $500 is clearly gonna help you with your capital expenditures, with repairs, with vacancy costs, those types of things. But you gotta be able to see how you can structure that to be able to use the money that's coming in from those rentals to be able to then pay that seller back for holding that financing for you. So that's another option for using other people's money. Option 3 is land contracts. This is where the seller will continue to hold the title until you as the buyer fulfill certain conditions that you agreed to. So that is definitely something, once again, all these situations. I am not a lawyer. I can be. I sometimes play one in small court, but I'm not a lawyer. So please make sure to go and check with your lawyer about really how to make that those situations work. Another option would be what's called a subject to mortgage, which in that sense, the mortgage ends up staying with the person that already has that mortgage, similar to what we talked about in seller financing, but the title moves over to you, to your partner, to your LLC, however you have that structured. I do know I went to, speaking about meetups, one of my favorite meetups in Westchester County that I go to, had a speaker a couple months ago, a guy from Bigger Pockets that was really known for using these subject to mortgages and also seller financing. And he said that one of the ways that he really found people to be able to do that was actually by going on Craigslist. He would go and post on Craigslist that he was looking for people that were willing to do this. And he was also reaching out to people that were looking to sell their properties, usually for sale by owner. And that was a way that he was able to find a bunch of these deals. So you really got to think creatively. Once again, if you're in the position where you need to look to use other people's money, it is really something that you have to be that person that's going to kind of hustle and be scrappy and think outside of the box about how you can make these things work. For example, talking about something that's out of the box is there's actually people that have bartered towards earning a property. Sometimes using that exchange could be for either work that's done on the property. That's something actually my husband and I have kind of talked about, is a property that maybe we could do the maintenance and be property managers, and then our services would really go towards kind of that down payment on that house. Once again, it's the idea of kind of getting creative, but a barter is a good way to talk to somebody and see what you can kind of do to be able to purchase a property, not using any of your own money. One of the other options, kind of alluding in that same way, would be a lease to own, rent to own. You've probably heard it in different ways, but the idea that a lot of people, I live in New York where rents are incredibly expensive, and a lot of people, you talk about the idea of like throwing your money away at rent. Now, in my opinion, not really throwing your money away, because you need a place to live. So that money is clearly going to something. But I definitely understand, especially in New York where costs are so expensive for rent, that you kind of want it to go somewhere where you feel like it's not just kind of going out the window. So a rent to own opportunity might be a good place for you. The reason for that is then when you have your monies will then go towards that down payment, down towards that mortgage, the ownership that you would later have in the place. So that was probably 5 or 6 different ways that you can use other people's money to become a real estate investor. If you have another option, please help out the other people in the group and throw a suggestion down in the comments. And I will sign off for today. I'll be back tomorrow with different items that are important to have in your lease. So feel free to tune there. Subscribe either to my YouTube channel, Live Free with Becky Nova, or also join our Facebook group, Lady Landlords. Thank you very much and have a good day. Bye.